Hey guys, welcome back. We had a good day in the market. It's Wednesday, July 16th. We're going to review 0-day options. Today I traded on SPY and review this small account challenge. I think we're past the 30-day mark, so that's the longest we've done so far in this 30-day challenge. I've done one reset and we're just scraping by at the very bottom for now until we get a couple 100%ers under our belt. Give us some headroom. Anyways, today we had PPI this morning, which was at 8:30 right there, and started off with some liquidity this morning, the first 10 minutes. So one trade I like to take, this candle is actually, I think that candle's incorrect. Or no, Webull was showing this candle different. Anyways, when it's barcoding like this, like seriously nice liquidity to identify. If it breaks out one way or the other, breaking out to me would be breaking above all these candles, especially full-bodied, and volume helps. But you know, the candle that makes you want to FOMO in, basically FOMO into that, and then just have that level as your stop, the liquidity level. So that's one trade sometimes I take. I did it this morning, but it's kind of a nice one because it's just high risk reward. Because you're basically opening where your stop is. Anytime you can open where your stop is, it's like, unless, yeah, if you have more confirmation than just that, but sometimes it can be pretty close to that. However, my goal on today and what I've been doing with a small account, I only have one trade a day for the most part, sometimes two. So I'm not necessarily just looking for those more risky, lower probability, high reward, low risk trades. So I'm just looking for high probability stuff. So can't really afford to stop out. Anyways, could have taken that one, but yeah, those show up sometimes. They're kind of fun. And then on the reverse, of course, if it's coming back in to grab liquidity, you can go with it. But yeah. Anyways, so I got this purple going here with this resistance up here as potential for bulls building liquidity in that direction. And then this white one I got from these candles, potential. It was still early, it wasn't a whole lot, it was really just sideways for the most part. White kind of confirmed when it broke down below this and then it hit that as resistance. A little bit of a confirmation there for me on that. This did grind down. I didn't trade any of this. There's no real structure. I mean, we keep building liquidity and it doesn't grab, it doesn't retrace, so just kind of left it alone. Purple was more confirmed with me once this started bouncing off this as support, as you can see 3 times here, and then also kind of hitting this resistance, which was a prior support. And then gold showed up this kind of steeper selling, which I charted here, and then later on found this white, which would be bearish control. So bear is building liquidity to dump it, and so that's what happened. I have a little inverse head and shoulder here, and then a retest here on purple, so could take a long there. To me, why didn't I take a long there? Let's see. I don't know. I just didn't like the tight little range. I was more looking for the downside since we were bearish. So, but yeah, I could have taken on the break here or on the retest here for the inverse head and shoulder. But again, tight range. I was just chilling. And then drew this white at some point. Actually, I think I drew this white way later. So yeah, this grinded up. It broke out of the purple, but didn't take out, didn't enter this stronger buying, which was this red one right here. Jump back into it. This line is yesterday's low, high? One of those. Low. And then it broke out of this purple and was just kind of grinding up. So when it's doing something like this, if I had drawn the white by then, I would have been looking for basically to break white and grab this as a shoulder after it's made a head. Another trade that I like to do, or the potential, is, so that's one that I'm saying there. Another one is liquidity rejection, and we have it clearly right here. That first 10 minutes it built that. This clearly rejected it, given this was on news from Trump tweeting or something, making a post, and So this had two different resistances. One was this white, another one was just this liquidity from this morning, which I put this blue line. This green wasn't in there then either. But this kind of risky trade, the only real go with it is just because your stop is pretty clear. It's right there. So, I mean, do have some shoulder down here that it could grab, but this was unexpected, of course, because it's news. But after that happened, I completed the inverse cup, and these candles and this volume was crazy, and I knew it was from news, so I was just kind of hanging out. Did the same thing, grinded up, and hit that exact same spot, rejecting that liquidity, and then this was another post. So contracts from here, I mean, you're doing thousands of percent probably. Well, maybe not thousands, but probably 1,000. You're getting it before that starts. But again, there's not really structure here. Not a real good looking head that's sprouting out. There's just kind of volume was starting to die off and just grinding up in this white. So there's a couple traps here that I'm glad I missed, really. I mean, because you have, once this candle was so fast, I could have FOMO'd and just gotten puts here because it grabbed this shoulder, broke my white. Problem is that candle went all the way to low days, and I'm like, all right, well, it's got to be a handle. And so when it starts just getting volatile and I'm not comfortable, it's better to protect my capital. Almost always better to protect my capital. Came down, more news, and bounced kind of around purple. And then I redrew this red. This trade I probably should have taken. When the volatility picks up, though, sometimes I'm deer in headlights, and fine with that. But this was a perfect retest on this green. I think I did have this green by then also. Resistance up here, support down here, and built a little shoulder, came up, retested perfectly. So again, this is just where your stops would be. So opening up anywhere around here, even after that candle starts, it's fine. Or another move down. And then of course, if you put your gold in, you can guide your stops by that. So just wait for it to break that. Yeah. So that one would have been nice, and that one I probably should have caught. But I'm happy I stayed out of all this because it was just tricky trading, really, with news. Came up, made an inverse head and shoulders here, which is an obvious one, but I don't like these setups. Not when we're bearish. This could always be just a bear flag. Given this the middle of the range, also, we're just in the middle of this wedge, white and purple, and probably even a more mellow green one up there. So this candle was also another post, so not necessarily something you could catch unless you're just, if I entered here, realistically, if this news post didn't come, I mean, I'm expecting this to kind of come back down and at least kind of retest this liquidity here and reject it if it's going to come up. But it didn't do that. So then I could have taken a trade on the rejection there, or rejecting there, or taking it once it comes up here, breaks this and grabs that shoulder, making a little mini head and inverse head and shoulders. I saw this building, like that's perfect inverse head and shoulders, but it usually doesn't play out like this. Especially now if you're already in a bearish trend like that, and it hasn't broken the last channel. So came up here and grinded down this purple perfectly. So this purple's a little bit lower, it was like right there. Wicked above it. That's where I took my first trade. I took it here because of the resistance, because we had a nice shoulder liquidity here. We're still bearish. I thought this is a very nice looking head sprouting out of that shoulder, and I took it at, here's my account, P&L and day, I'm green, which I'm very thankful for, but not on this trade. It sells 12 o'clock. I took that one right at 12. So that was right here on that red candle right there. And since we had these volatile moves, I wasn't paying attention to the IV, and I should have been, but the IV was pumped. And I got puts there for 620. So just one. Price was at 622. I put 620, and these things were down. Of course, 5% right when I opened them, which that's just standard operating procedure. But after 5 minutes and it going down, they were down like 15%. And the only time it actually flipped green was here. The rest of the time it was down 15 to 25% through all of this grinding. And it was doing what I wanted, and well, no, it wasn't doing what I wanted, but my stop was this purple and I put that in. But the problem with the purple is this is bulls building liquidity. and it was pretty clear here when it started, kept rejecting this. I kind of expected a little inverse head to sprout out and then go up and grab it. But when I noticed that it was just grinding here and it wasn't really a head that I was expecting, you know, more like this inverse head, this one ended up just being liquidity being built. I stopped out of it. So reduced my risk, even though I was down quite a bit on it, unfortunately. I didn't know it was going to break out that way. I still figured a head would come, but I didn't like that it was bulls building liquidity. At least that's how I interpreted it with the purple. And just the disgusting theta decay, honestly. Or, yeah, IV crush is really what it was. So 12-17, I held that thing for 17 minutes of just brutal. So I did close it here. I guess it was on a break. And it was down like 30%. So ridiculous. I basically opened it lower than where I closed it, and it was a put, and yeah, huge value loss. Didn't take calls here because the structure here sucked. But it did break purple. And then I actually tried this white one later, but in this low volume, just grind up. It's kind of still in the middle of the range, so I'm kind of leaving it alone, just waiting for a setup to look good. But if you're vigilant and looking close, I mean, it is this purple, and it was building liquidity. The problem with the break was it was low volume and there wasn't good structure. I mean, I guess you could say a little head and shoulder, but I didn't like any of that. However, it's grinding up, and then it makes this nice inverse head, signified also by the volume down here, and then a perfect retest on that purple, if you see, and then looky green, so which is another bullish control. Bulls controlling the selling. It retested both those perfectly, so that would have been a nice entry. This is a trade that this one I'm like kind of fine I missed because it's fine I missed all of them. Protected capital regardless, but this one, since it's volatile, kind of hanging out. This one though, I was actually a little distracted, to be honest, as well. We've got some sick people over here and I was having to take care of people, so not a complete excuse. I could have, but I just wasn't prepared. I was kind of up and down at that point from the computer. But this, I mean, lined up perfectly for an inverse head and shoulder. And this was a nice trade right there. This one, pretty good. This one is probably the cleanest setup to me so far in the day. Or, I mean, liquidity rejections, of course, but yeah, not quite like this one. After that one, let's see, came up, charted this white one. Did we complete? We basically completed the cup here. I thought we might build liquidity and go a little bit higher and fully complete it, but more or less that was completed cup to me. Came down. I almost got calls here. I was so glad I didn't. It just started chopping. I'm like, that's so good I didn't. There wasn't nice structure. It wasn't a nice inverse head and shoulder. Could always still be building it in this green, which it did end up doing. Look at it, just chopping, grinding, barcoding. Pumped. And then look, similar, not exact, but came down, made a nice sprouted inverse head. Got to look for those heads. Look for them. They're there. Made that inverse head, retested that green, which was now resistance, or now support. Bounced off of it. I tried to open them up here, and by the time I was able to get to limit, it just took forever. And this next candle was so fast, it was immediately basically up here. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna wait a little bit because I don't want to jump in on a big green candle. And it was basically right at resistance in case these lines aren't perfect. You know, it's an area. It's a general area. It's not a perfect line. I mean, it is, but I'm never usually on it perfectly. This time I kind of was. But anyways, I open it up, I think here. I think on that next candle. Is that where I got them? 223. Yeah, so I got it on that candle. So open call, a call there. My stop on that, kind of tricky. That's the thing where my successful trades, I usually am not thinking much about my stop, which isn't good. But realistically, it would be if it broke this level. I can grab that. I could say if it broke this white, but again, that's not always the case. Sometimes it can break that and still grind up and grab a steeper algorithm to the up. So this one worked out though. Got a call there, and then I'm looking at close to hive day, close to 5 day. 5 days like here also. So I closed it up here, 236. So on that green candle, right on it. So I got a nice limit fill and exit, and happy it took my account from red to green. So first one was 51 cents to 38. Pretty ugly loss just from IV Crush. Next one was 19 cents to 35. So I had enough for 19 cents, which is pretty far out of the money. And climbed all the way up. That was like 40 something percent. 20. No. 60. I don't know. I'll do the math. That'll probably be in the thumbnail. So trying to get confident, and so I can scale. I don't need to catch the whole move. I don't need to catch a big move even. It can be small. But if I have confidence and I have tight stops and good risk management in place, I can scale to crazy amounts. And that's kind of what I'm working on. So that one did good. It did sprout up a little bit higher and bump above there. If I had more than one contract, sure, I would have held and maybe got another exit on one of those. But I am totally content with that. And then we built liquidity here. And the purple didn't make a head, it just kind of broke it and then rallied. So kind of just a wedge chop into close. On the big account, I did a couple trades. Oh yeah, and then I thought I closed. Oh, this was annoying. Yeah, 305, 307. That was a stop. 305 to 307 on puts. Yeah, so this is just head and shoulder, little head and shoulder up here. Also potential for move back maybe to VWAP or at least retest this, kind of a mutual trade. But I didn't like it, so I closed it out. A couple candles later, we were just building liquidity. and seeing how far away purple was, because it could climb all the way over there first. Even for the bulls. So it's 310 to 3, and then opened up calls. 340, 41, 42. Oh yeah, that was up here. Yep. So I waited for it to break this green, only because it didn't make a nice inverse head and shoulder structure that I liked. I could have jumped in earlier just and traded it with this red steeper algo, but it was basically the same minute. So open it up here and was really looking for just a squeeze and a close. I was at 340 though. Didn't squeeze, did take profits though, was profitable on 340 for 320, and then 341 at 410, and then 342 for 360. Those were all green. I had one left, but then this was the mistake. I averaged in I was trying to front run the 10-minute move, which is so dumb. Usually I'm reducing risk right before the 10-minute. Yep. So on this one I added in, and then bloop. Yeah, I'm thinking tiny little inverse head and shoulder. It retested green. Let's go. And it didn't. So yeah, the 10-minute move, you either like if you're already green before it, take a bunch of profit before it happens, or wait until it starts and you can see which direction it's going to go. But yeah, that was a mistake, unfortunately. However, I had this trade right, I had the right idea. I'm glad I waited for that green to break, and I'm glad I protected capital today and not traded through its volatility. It was hard. Definitely had some FOMO boiling, and I just practiced self-discipline. Speaking of, I'm listening to an awesome YouTube channel. I shared it on the Discord. It's called Trading Psychology Stick. It's basically everything I kind of teach, but it's compiled into its own videos. It's not like stock review like I do and then just throw in this psychology stuff for pointers or whatever. It's good. And honestly, listen to it today. I think I was listening to it during the day. I was like, it just helped me to just sit on my hands, and it gives you practical techniques. And yeah, it's a good. I definitely recommend that YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Sub up, like up, comment down. Happy money sticks around. See you on Discord. Peace out.